Hello everybody. Today we will talk about a very interesting topic which is known as customer touchpoints. Well, let's see what is in the agenda today for us. We will discuss what is a touchpoint, identify the different touchpoints for the customers, how touchpoints bring the customer experience to life. We will also talk about how do you map your customer's journey across these different touchpoints. Why is a touchpoint important? Define the optimal experience at each of these touchpoints. Well, I'm very excited to teach you on this module, and let's get started immediately. So friends, if I have to ask you what exactly is a touchpoint? Well, any time where a potential customer or an actual customer has an experience with a particular business, that particular point is known as a touch point. So touch point is any time a potential customer or a customer comes in contact with your brand either before, during or after a particular purchase. Well friends, let's understand customers are very important to any business. Today they are the lifeline of any business, and for any business to retain these customers and to make them happy is the focal point. So today in this module we will actually understand how to keep your customer engaged at any and every touch point wherein they come in contact with your particular brand. Today there are different touch points which every customer goes through these touch points, and let's understand what these different touch points are. A customer might come to you through your website, so your website becomes an important touch point. They might refer you on your website, your company's website, and understand about your product or service which you are offering. Another particular touch point can also be a retail store where you are actually selling these products or services. A customer comes into contact in your retail store wherein they are face to face with your employees. Social media. Today social media has become the most important thing in the world. I mean, the entire world has been taken over by social media. So let's understand, in social media they come to know about your brand or product through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. So how you manage your brand through these social media is also important. Phone tree prompts. Well, you might want to send certain SMSs to your customers or your potential customers, so that also becomes a touch point. Different forms that you might ask a customer to fill, and that can also become one of the ways in which a customer will have an experience with you. Advertising. Today the world is all about marketing, PR and advertising. The more you advertise about your brand, your product or your service, the more the customers are likely to stay with you or get to know about you. Customer service and also mobile today has become the most important way in which people communicate. The world has gone digitalized, and today mobiles are the way wherein you can just see something on your website or look at any particular product or service through a mobile app. So friends, these are different touch points which a consumer or a potential customer might come to know through your brand. Certain other common touch points are email campaigns. You might have a lot of emailers that you might want to send out to your customers. That can also be a touch point. Landing pages, product search and selection pages. On your website, you might showcase your products and your selection of products, and that is also one way wherein a customer might know about your brand. Your in-store experiences which a customer has with your retail staff can also make or break the image of your brand. Your checkout page, in terms of how soon can a customer log into your page, how soon they can log out, and how smooth is their overall transaction on your page, can also be a touch point. The support section, in terms of any call center support or any kind of service or post-service or post-purchase service that you might offer to your customer. So your support system becomes very important as a touch point. And also certain blogs and newspaper articles, newsletters which you might want to send out to your customers. These are certain emailers or campaigns or blogs, social media. All of these are touch points today which you can convince a customer with. Well, it's important as a company or a business to understand or find out what your common touch points are, or rather what is your customer's touch points before purchase, during purchase and after purchase. So friends, we are going to look at each of these purchases before, during or after in a little detail now. Before purchase, you might want to get your customer aware about your brand through social media, ratings and reviews. Today, customers are very particular about the kind of rating that your product or service has got. And if it has been reviewed by a lot of people, if you have got good ratings, only then will a customer be likely to take your product or service. So it's important to maintain your reviews and ratings. They also like to look at the testimonials. If customer is purchasing something from you, they would also like to know what other customers feel about your product or service. So testimonials become very important. Word of mouth advertisement. I cannot tell you how important is word of mouth advertisement. People really want to buy a particular product or service once they know that others have had a good experience with that particular thing. So word of mouth publicity is the best kind of publicity that your company or business can do. Marketing and PR definitely helps in terms of how you put up your hoardings, how you market yourself, how do you do your public relation activities. So well, these are before the purchases that you want to attract customers with the help of all of these touch points. During a purchase, while a customer is purchasing your product either through an e-commerce online website or of that also physically in the retail store. So during purchase, certain touch points which they might come across is your store or the office. Well, in terms of being physically present in your retail store and buying a product or service. Website can also be because on an e-commerce website, for example, Amazon or any other website like Flipkart, for example, your experience which a customer might have through the website can also be a detriment in terms of your touch points. Certain catalogs, promotions, your sales team, your sales staff, all of this can also make or break an image or brand impression. Your phone system. If a customer has not had a good experience on the phone talking to your company representative, if she has been or he has been very rude in speaking with the particular customer, that can be very detrimental as a touch point. And the point of sale, wherein the sale actually happens, a staff is trying to sell your product or service to a customer. At that point, when a customer is having a one-on-one interaction with your sales staff, that is also a very important touch point during the purchase of that particular product and service. Let's now move on to after the purchase. Well, after the customer has purchased your product or service, you should not let yourself relax. It's important that even after selling your product and service, the customer still expects certain things out of you. Let's see what they are. Well, the billing has to be smooth for customers. You do not want customers to stand in big lines and big queues waiting for their turn. So the billing experience needs to be smooth sailing. Transactional emails. After the purchase of a particular product or service, you might want to send out certain emailers to your customers. Marketing emails also helps in terms of telling them that these new products or services are coming up. Online help center. You might have your own online help center as a company or as a business, so customers might want to take help from that support system. Certain follow-ups. After a customer has given out or taken your product or service, it's very important to follow up with a customer with a phone call or with an emailer or even just a text message. Find out whether they're happy or not with the product or service that they have purchased. Last but not the least, it's very essential to give out thank you cards to your customer. People really appreciate this particular gesture wherein you've just gone out of your way and written out a small thank you note for your customer, thanking them for buying your product or service. This always really helps in selling your products better and making your customers loyal to you. Well, how do you manage your customer's experience? You cannot really control your customer's experience, but there are certain things you can do to manage them by having a happy smile on their faces. Delivering the best quality. Now, it's important as a business or as an organization, whatever you sell, it has to be of the ultimate supreme quality. Nobody likes getting a particular product and service and not being happy with the service or not being happy with the quality of that service. So it's important to understand that you need to deliver only the best quality. Gathering the right information tools. As a customer, you need to understand what do your customers like, not like, what makes them happy, what makes them sad. It's important to understand all that you can about your customers. So know them inside out, get as much information about them to customize your product and service for them. Rating on the basis of performance, and that's very important. You must ask your customers to rate you in terms of how they liked your product or service. This will also help you with the testimonials and experience that they have had with the employee. Every customer who comes in contact with an employee, either on the phone call or on an email or even face to face, it becomes important that the customer leaves with a smile on the face and having a good experience with that employee. Nobody would want to come into a store and have a bad experience with a particular staff member. So it's important to have good experiences that each customer needs to have with your employee. So friends, in this way you can actually manage your customers' experiences and make it a happy one for them. Well, it's important to understand that companies today are really putting in a lot of effort and a lot of money to get customers to be loyal and happy with them. So let's understand what this engagement cycle with your particular customer are. So the customer engagement cycle is a 6-step procedure. Let's understand them. First thing is awareness, moving on to consideration, then purchase, support, loyalty and advocacy. Well, you might get confused with these words, and let's now understand in detail what each phase or each term in this particular cycle means to us. Explaining the cycle. The first and the foremost is awareness. Well friends, it's important to make your customers aware of your product or service. Not every time a customer knows about what you're selling. So the first thing important is to understand. To get them to be engaged with you, you need to first and foremost, they have to hear about your brand. So the customers have not previously heard of your brand, your product or services. You need to make a good first or a second or a third impression on them so that they consider you when they are further along the engagement cycle. Make your customer aware. Now how you do that depends totally on you. The second step or the second phase in the cycle is consideration. Customers are looking for information so that they can research and compare between the different competitors and what they offer. So communicate your value proposition to them and build up the confidence in your brand so that they can choose you over somebody else. So first you have made them aware, then you make them considerate, meaning you give out whatever you are offering. So what is your value proposition? You put that in front of your customer so that they can choose while they are going ahead with their consideration. The third step is purchase. Now customers are very busy people, and we need to understand how can we make their purchase, whether online or offline, a smooth sailing process for them. Nobody wants to log on to your computer or laptop and sit for hours just to make sure that the product or service that they have purchased takes a long time. So log in and log out procedure as well as everything related with purchase should be a smooth sailing one. Support is important. Customers want to purchase from brands that will provide them good service and support. Nobody wants to take a particular product or service, and if something, God forbid, goes wrong with that after the purchase, they have to really hunt around you to get that kind of support to mend the product or service. So it's important that make sure that you support them with any issues, any questions, any concerns or doubts that they might have even post the purchase. That way you are offering as much support to them as possible. The next is loyalty. Now customers like to be rewarded and appreciated for what they have bought. Now customers also want to have that loyalty phase in them. So to hold on to your customers, offer them incentives, promotions, offers, give them loyalty cards. The world, everybody is doing that. Make sure that you hold on to your customers to retain them better. The last not the least is advocacy. Now customers who are really happy with your product or service are more than likely to talk about it to other people, their colleagues, their friends, their peer members, and that is free of cost publicity for you in terms of them talking about your brand. Without you promoting yourself, your customers are promoting you, and that's why they become advocates, meaning they become your lawyers or advocates who will really go out and talk about your product and service. So friends, these are all the cycle that we have just explained in terms of getting the customer engaged to your product or service. How does customer engagement cycle really help us? So let's understand what is the benefit for having customer engagement cycle. It definitely helps you to increase the revenue. Now, who doesn't want to increase their business? So increasing the revenue, increasing the brand loyalty. Definitely your brand loyalty will go really high in terms of the minds of the consumers. It helps you to increase purchase, increase in the kind of referrals. People will refer you and you have your free of word mouth publicity. It reduces your churn. So anything extra which is going waste, it helps you to reduce that. And it increases your overall cross-selling. Customers who buy one thing from you will definitely return back and buy something else from you also. So it helps in upselling and cross-selling. These are certain benefits of customer engagement cycle. Now let's understand how do you map your touch points. So customer touch points and mapping becomes important. You have to target your customer. What is the target area that you're looking at? What is the age group or the kind of gender you are looking to target? So the first and foremost is target that particular person. Then you need to acquire them, inform them and acquire them. Onboard that particular person in terms of certain forms you might want them to fill out or certain things that you want them so that they come on board or empanel with you. Serve them. This is the most important part of mapping because here you are actually serving your customer. Help them to grow. Definitely once they have purchased things from you, they are definitely there with you for a longer time. So help them grow. And last but not the least, it's difficult to retain customers in the kind of competitive market we are living in today. But hence, we also need to understand retaining customers is very important. So now let's understand what are certain questions which will help you in this mapping for touch points. Let's look at these questions. Which specific interaction occurs at which point? Now, to help you explain with the help of an example, if suppose a customer has gone to a retail store to buy something for herself or himself, that particular specific interaction which will occur at that point with the retail staff who is attending that customer. So which process supports that customer touch point? Well, the person who is interacting with the customer, the staff member is the support system, is the kind of person or the process who is helping with that touch point. People would support that touch point is definitely with regards to the team members and the staff member who's attending that particular customer. Customer is interacting with that particular person, or if in her absence, she might be interacting with another colleague of that same brand. Pain points of the touch point, well, at that point wherein the customer is having an interaction, she might have not a very good experience with that particular staff member. Probably she's not attending to her properly, or she could be not really helping out with the sizes that she wants or helping out with the colors. Probably the staff member is having a bad day and doesn't really want to be helpful around the customer. So these are certain pain points which might happen at that particular touch point, which is the face-to-face interaction with the customer. So it's really important to understand what are the kind of mapping that you need to do at that particular touch point. Well friends, that brings us to the end of our module on customer touch points. Today we have really understood a lot in detail and in depth about what customer touch points are all about and how do you benefit out of customer engagement cycle. Well, we do hope that you have enjoyed listening to this particular module, and if you are working in any organization or business, will this help you in your exploring your touch points with your customer is something that we would really want to hear from you. So do leave in your comments and do write into us. Thank you very much for watching us, and bye-bye.